Hello my beautiful people. This video today is for those of you who have a desire, who have an aspiration to call in a large amount of abundance and wealth into their life. And I want to explain to you in this video why the fact that you're currently not, and that you're not in a place where abundance and wealth is a major part of your life yet, is actually a really good thing. And I want you to understand the lessons that I believe the universe at large is trying to teach you about money and about wealth before you get to that place where you have that wealth and abundance. Because I believe that if you've landed on this video, you're not just somebody who wants to have wealth and abundance be part of their life, but you want to be consciously wealthy. You want to have an element of consciousness behind how you spend money, how you use the abundance that you can bring into your life and what you do with that. So let's jump straight in, guys. Oh, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. My channel is all about teaching you to come home to yourself so that you can start creating the life that you truly desire. And so if that is up your street, if that is what you're vibing with, then subscribe, because I'd love to have you guys here. Okay, so the first lesson that I believe that you are trying to be taught around money and around conscious wealth, and the fact that you don't currently have it, is that you are being taught to get your priorities straight, to understand what your actual priorities are. And I'll give you an example from my own life around how this kind of works, how this might be showing up in your reality. So one of the things, so just a bit of background, my big aspiration is to grow my business to 7+ figures. I want it to be a soul-led business that I show up for, that fills me up, that is not something I want to retire from, that is a part of my life, but it's also something that brings me a lot of wealth and abundance in my life. And so I'm currently not at that stage yet. I'm at the very beginning of starting out this business. And I realize, this is why I'm sharing these lessons with you guys, is because I believe that there is a lot of inner work that needs to be done, that I'm currently processing and working through myself before I get to that stage where wealth becomes a natural part of my life, where I am able to contain and hold the space for the kind of wealth that I want to bring into my life, and where I'm also able to interact with wealth and abundance in the way that I see myself doing that. I don't just want a quick full lottery win, as much as sometimes that sounds like it would be amazing and it would solve all of life's problems. That isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a way that I can live with wealth and abundance in my life, that it's a part of it, that I have a connection with that, and that I'm able to consciously use my wealth and abundance in the way that aligns with myself and my desires and my values. And so one of the things is by not having a lot of money, or not having as much as what you would desire to have, is that it's kind of teaching you to get really, really crystal clear on what you actually spend your money on. So an example to give you from my life is, one of the things that I've been really wanting recently is to upgrade my wardrobe a bit. I just want some fresh new things in there. It's kind of feeling a little bit old, a little bit run down. It needs a bit of a refresh. But having the kind of spare money at the moment to just go on a shopping spree and go and buy lots of new things is not something that is currently available right now in my reality. And my husband the other day very lovingly said to me that he'd made some money, a little pot for me to go and update my wardrobe. And it's exactly, so he made me £160, and I've got some leftover like Christmas money that I got gifted from family. So I think altogether I've got about £220. And my aim is that I want to update my whole wardrobe. Now, I'm somebody who quite likes thrifting. I'm really not into like latest fashions and stuff like that. Sometimes, like, if a trend's going around and it's kind of my style, then, yes, what's in the shops is, is currently kind of vibing with my style, then I might get brand new. But more often than not, I actually get a lot of my stuff online. I get a lot of my stuff off of eBay. I look for good quality stuff. I look for good good brands with quality, but I often get those things at a lot cheaper price just by going to search on eBay. And I like that actually there's like a huge variety of stuff that you can search for in that one place. Most stores kind of specialize in certain styles of clothing, certain trends. And if those trends are just not really your thing, then I just find for me that going onto eBay and typing in exactly what it is that I want to try and find is just, I just like shopping in that kind of one place. Now, my desire at some point is obviously to be able to find stores, find shops where I can just go in and buy brand new, because I do also love the idea of being able to browse and pick up something off the rail and say, I'm just going to pay for that. But right now that's currently not in my budget, and that's okay, because what that's actually allowing me to do is, so I've got this money, this little budget that's set aside. And so this is, not just clothes, this is going to be some like new shoes and things like that as well. Like it's a whole like wardrobe update that I want to go for. And because I have a small budget, it is getting me to get crystal clear on what it is that I want to buy. So I am taking the time to consciously think about, what styles do I want in my wardrobe? What do I want? What do I want to be able to mix and match? What is my vision board? I'm literally creating a vision board for what I want my wardrobe to look like. I'm going online, I'm finding pictures and images of different styles, different things for different seasons that I like the look of. And I'm putting that all together and collating that so that I can then go onto eBay with a purpose and say, right, these are the things that I want to look for. And it's getting me to become clear about that. Now, if I just had all the money in the world, which sounds kind of nice and kind of appealing, but I think at the moment, because I haven't completely upgraded my wealth consciousness yet, I think I probably would just go into a shop. I just buy things off the pegs, off the rails that just looked appealing. I might not even try them on. And I would kind of probably get home and find lots of things don't actually match. Probably things don't even fit me, or they don't look that great on me. They don't suit me. I just don't feel like there would be this real conscious intention behind it. But actually having a lack of money or having less wealth and abundance than I currently desire is really getting me to be very focused and to really prioritize how I spend that money, because I want to make sure that that little pot of money that we've saved up can be spent really well, can be really put to good use, so that when I open my wardrobe, I'm like, yes, I love all the things that I've got in here. And now, with regards to that, it doesn't mean that like I can't spend out a bit more money on a particular item that I absolutely adore and then a little bit less on an item that I equally adore. It's about kind of removing this idea of like, in order to be wealthy, you have to just buy the most expensive thing. It's about buying the thing that you really love, that lights you up, that, really aligns with you, that speaks to you in some way. And that might have a high price tag and it might have a low price tag. It kind of doesn't really matter. It's about finding what aligns with you. But and I've done this with like decorating in our house as well, saving up little pockets of money in order to then really think about, how are we going to spend this money? How can we like use this to our advantage? How can we get the most out of this small pot of money? This example always reminds me of, there was a TV program that me and my husband used to watch like all the time. We used to like binge this program. It was MasterChef Australia. And we really loved the Australian one. It was just, I don't know, it was so good. But there was so many episodes of it. Anyway, one of the challenges they used to set for the like aspiring chefs on there was like a pantry challenge. And so they would get given limitations placed on them, limit for the amount of time they had to cook, and limits for what ingredients they could take out of the pantry. And they had to create a dish, normally with a theme as well. There was some sort of like theme to the dish, whether it was a particular type of cuisine or whether it had to meet a certain requirement or whatever it was. So they were given limitations basically, or boundaries. They were given certain goals that they had to meet. And all of them used to say that they really like struggled with those ones, or that, you know, they dreaded those ones. But then what would happen is they would also give them tasks where they had like an open pantry. They didn't have like completely unlimited time because they didn't have like a whole day, but there were some times where they would allow them to pick like how long they wanted to have. And more often than not, they would pick like the abundance of everything. So they would pick the most amount of time they could get, and they would pick the most amount of ingredients and the most flexibility with like cuisines and all that kind of stuff. And what happened was amazing, was because when they were given like so much access to everything that they thought was like amazing, that they thought they really desired, they actually struggled. It was like they had so much choice that they did not even know where to begin. And a lot of them like really struggled. A lot of them like really fluffed it up at that stage. Whereas when they were kind of under this like under more pressure almost, when they had limitations placed on them, that is when they actually became their most creative and their most focused. So I want you to start thinking like really differently about maybe not having the level of wealth and abundance that you desire right now, and see it as actually, it's not only is it getting you to really focus and prioritize what is important to you, but on to my next point, it is making you become creative. It kind of forces you into creativity. When you have limitations, you as like human beings, we work around those limitations. We have to start thinking outside of the box. We have to start thinking more creatively. We have to start tapping into ourselves more often, because there isn't this unlimited like stream of abundance, even though there actually is. Like there is, it is constantly available to us all the time, but for so many of us, we have so many blocks that is preventing that. But I'm actually starting like on my own personal journey to lean into those blocks and really appreciate them for the lessons that they are giving me, because when I do eventually get to that stage in my life where I have a much greater capacity for wealth and abundance, I know that I am going to be conscious in that place. I am still going to be able to be creative, even though I have more money at my disposal. I'm still going to be able to focus and really prioritize what I spend that money on. Even if it's bigger chunks of money, I'm not going to be in that state where I'm just chucking it away because it's like, well, I've got it, so I'll just throw it away. I'm going to still take that time to be really conscious about what actually aligns with me here. What do I really want to spend this money on? How is this money going to be well spent for me and my life? So take that kind of example from like MasterChef and see how a lack of money, and you can do this with even like a lack of time and all those kinds of different resources that we have available to us in varying degrees. See how having actually less of them is enforcing your creativity. It's sparking that within you, because the thing is, so in my case, for example, I have a desire to have this new wardrobe. That is the desire. The desire isn't actually to have more money. And if you look at most of your desires, most of them aren't actually money. It's not actually that you want more money. It's just that you have a belief that in order to get the desire that you want, so maybe it might be a bigger house, or it might be you want to go travel the world, or, you know, visit a certain place in the world, have a certain lifestyle. We believe that in order to get that, we have to have money. Money is the answer to allowing us to have those desires. But very rarely do we have a desire to say, well, I just want money. Because the whole point is money it's an exchange, isn't it? You exchange money to get an experience, to purchase something, to have something physical, okay, or a service. So it's not actually money that we're desiring. It's these experiences, it's these things, it's these, you know, this physical stuff that we want in our lives. And so this is all like leading on. This kind of like leads me to my next point, which is that having a lack of money, or not having as much as you desire, having a lack of that particular resource, is actually going to teach you to become a better manifester. It's going to teach you to become a better, more conscious creator. Because, like we were saying, most of our desires are not actually money. It's to have a thing, it's to experience something, to live something out. And we believe that money, we need money in order to exchange it to have that thing or that experience. But when you don't have money, or you don't have much money at your disposal, you've got to think outside the box. How else can I get this thing? And if you really want this desire, you've got to call it in somehow. You've got to bring it in. So you've got to start thinking differently. So like with my clothes, I could just put myself at a block and say, well, I can't afford to go and get a whole new wardrobe's worth by going into the shop and buying brand new clothes. No, but I could have a look on things like Vinted. I could go on eBay. I could see if any friends want to do some swaps, or, do you know what I mean? Like, you start to think outside the box. A lot of the things that we've done within our house, because we don't have a massive budget for like renovating our house, I have found some amazing finds on like Marketplace for secondhand furniture that has not been shabby and disgusting. It has been really vintage and unique, and things that I probably wouldn't even been able to find very easily brand new, that have cost me sometimes nothing or very minuscule amounts, that we've either done up, that we've then added our like love and flair and creativity and artistry to, that we've made it our own that way. Like, this is what having less money is actually allowing you to tap into. So just think, if you can start embracing this now and you can start tapping into this now, think what the hell you're going to be able to do when you do have more money at your disposal. And the same goes with time. I always think this about, after I had kids, I realized how much time I had available to me before I had kids. And I always used to moan saying, I never had enough time to do anything. And then I had kids and I was like, wow, I really don't have a lot of time to do anything. But now when I do get time, like today, so I get like 3 mornings a week when my little ones go to kindergarten and my oldest goes to school. And the things I can get done with 3 mornings, because that time is precious, because I know how to transform 3 mornings into effectively like 3 days, simply because I get really bloody crystal clear on what I'm doing and I make the most out of it. Because I have this, because I value that time so much more, because I know what it means to not have time. The same goes with money. When you know what it's like to not have much money, you'll be absolutely amazed at what you can start to do when you start to get money. And this is where that conscious wealth level comes in. We don't just want to be wealthy, we want to be conscious with our wealth and abundance, okay? I think the whole world needs more of us to be conscious with our wealth and abundance. So let me check. I feel like I've rattled through like 3 of these now. So let me just check where we're at. Did I mention that? No. So I kind of briefly touched on that. So let me go back to that. So this whole thing about what I was saying around you having that lack of money allows you to become a more conscious creator. It allows you to become a better creator. And the reason it allows you to do that is because when you're not closing off all the different avenues of how your desire can come to you, you're allowing more channels of opportunities to flow your way. So if you just believe that, say you have a desire to want to travel the world, but you don't have the money to do it. If you believe the only way possible to do that is to earn enough money so that you can, afford to travel, afford to eat and, sleep somewhere, all that kind of stuff, to put yourself up whilst you travel around the world, and money is the only way you can do that, you've basically limited yourself to one option. Whereas when you start to see that you can manifest things without having to have physical money, so maybe you could get a job as a photographer and travel companies would pay for you to travel around the world and you just take pictures for them. Like, that's not actually needing any of your physical cash in your bank to be able to do that. That's an opportunity. And there's so many more. There's like hundreds that we can't even comprehend and think of. But when you close yourself off to one like how option, that is when you start to limit yourself and you don't allow in all of those light bulb moment ideas that allow you to manifest all the things that you desire without having to have money necessarily. So this is why it starts to get you to become a better creator, a better manifester, because you've got to think outside of the box. If you haven't got a big ton of cash to do all these things you want to do in your life, but you still deeply desire and to have those experiences, to do those things in your life, you've got to think outside the box. If money isn't an option, then you've got to start being available and open to other ways in which the universe can co-create with you to bring that desire into place without necessarily having to have money in your bank to do it. Okay. Another thing is, every single time you experience feeling a lack of money, you launch a desire for more money. Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot. I love it. It's so like comical when she talks about it, and says that we all have, or a lot of us, especially people who really desire to have more wealth and abundance in their life, we have this like energetic pot of money that is enormous. Every single time you look at your bank account, or every single time you feel that lack like creeping in, and you're like, oh, I just wish I had more money, I just want more money. Whilst it's not actually getting you that, and I've got kind of videos around how you can start stepping into calling that in, because lack is not the way to bring it in. What it is doing is it's launching a desire. Every time you feel that negative emotion, you launch a desire for what you desire instead, whether you're conscious of this or not. And that energetic desire is being created. It's been birthed. You know, the whole ask and it is given is true, because as soon as you ask, as soon as you desire, you birth a desire into life. Energetically, that desire is already created. And your inner being, your higher self, your soul, like source energy, God, whatever it is you like to call that, like non-physical part of you, that part is there vibrating in that reality, calling you to that. You've got a massive bank account of energetic money sat there waiting for you. And so every time you feel that lack, know that actually you're kind of adding to that, because your desire is getting stronger and stronger to want to feel more abundant. I can't even read my own writing. I think I've covered that. So the last one that I've written on here is, when money is precious, you start to really get clear on your decisions. I had to remind myself what I meant by that. So let me give you an example. So and I've kind of touched on this already, but when money is precious, when we feel like there's a finite amount of it, it becomes more precious to us. But what happens is, when it starts to become more precious to us, we start to kind of really back those decisions when we make those purchases with that money. Like I was saying before, we have to get really clear around what it is that we're spending and what we want from it. So one of the examples from my own life was, how many years ago is this now? Like 3-4 years ago, probably 4 years ago now, 4, maybe even 5 years ago. My marriage was like really on the rocks. Like, I just had my first child, and she was 2 at the time, and our marriage just took a nosedive. It was like, you know, we were like the dream couple before then, and I think just having kids just really hit us. It was a whole story, a whole thing. And I had this really strong desire that I knew deep down that I still really love my husband. I wanted it to work, and it just wasn't working. And so I decided that this was going to be like my last ditch attempt. I was going to do what I could. I was going to shift my perspective. I was going to think outside the box. I was going to be willing to try new things to get this marriage to work. And if it didn't, then I'd be happy to walk away from it. And one of the things that I did as part of that was I decided to take out an 8-week intensive coaching program all around my relationship. To date, it is the most money that I have ever spent from my bank account. it was, you know, it was a lot of money, but, and I was terrified. I was terrified when I spent that money. I was shaking. And it wasn't money on credit. This was money in our savings. And, you know, I spoke to my husband about it and I said that it was something that I really wanted to do. And, you know, because it was money that we'd saved together, and he was completely on board with it. And so it wasn't even like, you know, I was getting this out on a credit card or, you know, taking out debt for it. It was all money that we had, but it was a lot of money. Like, I'd never spent this much money in a single purchase before. But I knew the course was right for me. I knew the coach was right for me. And as soon as that money left my bank account, I fully committed myself to that course. I did every single lesson. I spent the time and I went through it. I even remember so we used to, as part of the course, we got, was it weekly? I think, yeah, it was weekly coaching calls, like group coaching calls. Now, at the time, I was not really somebody who would like actively raise my hand and contribute to like a conversation. Like if I was asked a question, I would happily like get involved, but I was not really that person who would openly just share and yeah, I'll talk kind of thing. But I said to myself, and I think because I'd spent this money and I was like, this, you know, I've parted with a lot of money here, and I need to justify that I've spent this amount of money and I need to get the most out of it. And I said to myself before I went on the first group coaching call, and we had like 8 of these, that I was like, every single coaching call, I am going to get coached. I think there was only like 7 or 8 of us. But bearing in mind, this was not who I was. Like, I was not the person that raised their hand and kind of stepped forward. But I was like, I need to get every single ounce of benefit and value out of this money that I spent. And I did. Every single group coaching. And by the end of it, my coach would just go to me and would just like almost rely on me to help start that conversation to get somebody coached so that other people would then feel comfortable to come in. And to this day, anything that I've gone on like that, I now just go for it. Like, so not only did I create an amazing like new habit in myself and step up into being a new version of myself because of that, but I got that value. So not only was I was getting private coaching as well through the course like package that I bought, but I was also making sure that I was getting group coaching every single week, which was basically like private coaching, because although we were in a group, I was making sure I was getting coached on something every single week. So I was getting like twice the benefit. And it was because that money meant so much to me, because it was a large amount of money. It was money that we'd spent time saving up. And so I wanted to get every single ounce of value out of that course. That is what having less money and deeming it as precious can actually do. I think a lot of the time, like when I've come along on this like wealth journey, I've listened to so many like different videos and audiobooks and, you know, read things and stuff all around like abundance and wealth consciousness and all of this. And now granted, they are from people that have made a lot of money in their life. So they are people that have gone through that experience. They have done it. They have like made that a success in their life. They've ticked that box, achieved it. But so often they talk about these things as being a negative. Now, obviously, I'm not there yet, so I can't talk from experience. I'm not sat here, and I don't pretend to be sat here saying, I've got 7, 8 figures and this is how I did it. But what I am learning is that these things are helping to soften my attitude and my vibration and my beliefs around having a lack of money and seeing having less money as a bad thing. Okay, even though I desire to have more money, and yeah, it would be lovely to be able to just sink back in and go, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go and buy some new stuff today. Like, I really just need some stuff for my wardrobe. Like, I'm going to pop to the shops. I'm going to just see what I like. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really want that experience as well. But I'm also really starting to lean into the value of what having a lack of something actually gives you, like what it's teaching you. You know, if I'd have, like with my coaching course, if spending that kind of money was just an easy thing for me, if it was just like loose change, as amazing as that would be, that type of money would just be loose change, would I really have shown up as fully as I did. Now, what I'm hoping is that by seeing these lessons now, when there isn't such abundance that I desire, when I get to that stage of having abundance, those lessons will still apply. Like that teaching, that embodiment is going to carry itself forward to when you've got the wealth and abundance. Because sometimes I think money can just be easy to lean back on, you know, like I've done this many a times before when like me and my husband have been in survival mode, like with the kids, we kind of just chucked money at something to solve it. And whilst it does sometimes like help pull you through, when you step back and look at it, like, again, it wasn't necessarily anything that was like aligned with you. Like, you know, like you kind of look at purchases that you bought just to like maybe fill a void or something, rather than having a real true desire for something and saying, do you know what, I'm really grateful that I've got the money there to fulfill that desire in that way. But also knowing that even if I didn't have the money, I would still be going out and making that desire happen for me, because I know that money is not the only way that I can bring those desires into my life. So can you see how, like, I want you to start working with the lack, okay? I don't think enough people talk about working with the negative. It's always like pushing the positive. And I think this is starting to become a bit of a theme on my channel and on my videos, is that we actually deal with the negative far more than we do the positive in most people's lives. But we're always told to push for the positive. But there is so much positive that can actually come out of the negative. Like, you know, we see having a lack of money as a negative, but look at all those lessons that I've just gone through in this video. All of these amazing things that you can embody and you can learn about yourself and you can become conscious about because you're in lack with it. Okay, so let me know. I'd be really interested. Which one has like resonated with you most? Which one are you like, yeah, I really want to start embodying that more? Like that is the kind of mindset I want to take into my abundant, conscious wealth era. Okay. And lastly, I have a beautiful free gift for you guys. If you drop down into the let me start that again. It's been a long day of doing lots of videos and talking, so my mouth is kind of like going away with me now. If you go into the description box below, you will find my free gift to uncovering your authentic self. So this is just going to get you started on your journey. In there, I talk about my 4-step process of how you work through and you deal with negative emotions, and how you don't deal with them, how you actually get the most out of them, how you can start to benefit from them. What else do I talk about? I talk about the power of your emotions and understanding your emotions and what they mean, and, you know, the frequency that's related to them. I talk about life purpose. I talk about connecting in with your intuition. I talk about how to start raising your vibration, all these kinds of things. It's just going to start getting you connected back in here so that you can start listening to this internal voice and getting your answers from within so that you can start creating externally the reality that you truly desire to live in. So it is free to download. Go check it out. And that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. Enjoy the lessons that the lack of money is giving you, because you're headed for wealth and abundance, and you want to have these lessons locked down when you get that abundance hit your bank account. Okay. Much love. Have a beautiful day, whatever you're doing. Catch you in the next video. Bye.